as we continue our coverage of Invictus Games, we get to not only talk to some of the athletes, the competitors, but some of the spouse too. And I have a spouse sitting here right now, Leah Trauner. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, nice. Thanks for having me.
We had an amazing interview with your husband, Mike. I wanted to get the aspect of what's it like to get that 3 o'clock in the morning knock on your door.
Well, I was actually awake when that happened, and it was a phone call that I received. And the time was exactly 3:43 in the morning, actually. But I was wide awake. It was just a weird day. I was having a restless sleep. My phone rang 3 times before I answered it, and it was a padre on the other end of the line. She introduced herself to me and asked if I could get up, get dressed, get some lights on in the house, and that basically they were on their way to my house. Something had happened. Yeah.
I know, once your husband was able to make it over to Germany and they brought you over there, what was your first thoughts going into the hospital room?
When I first arrived in Germany, there was a team of 25 to 30 people waiting for me, whether it be his, medical specialist team, the padre, of course, psychologists, psychiatrists, all these people basically trying to prepare me for what I was going to see. But still, the movies you watch, you anticipate seeing him wrapped head to toe and unrecognizable, basically. Anxious. It became more real to me when I started walking down that hallway and I describe it as this bright white hallway that seems to go on forever and ever. But on the left-hand side of the hallway, there was a red and white Canadian flag hanging, and it was the only one. So I knew that was Mike's room. So it took me a few minutes to open the door. When I did, he basically tilted his head and looked at me and said, "Honey, I'm so sorry." Those were his first words to me. Yeah.
I know Mike he's been bedridden for many months at a time.
Yeah.
As we're talking about that briefly, and I know you've done amazing advocacy work too in Ottawa. We'll get to that. But what I'd like you to talk about now is, talk about what it's been like to help Mike in regards to the time when he's had to stay in bed.
Well, you just dig in and you do it. It becomes, it's our new normal. It's our routine. For the longest time, I think maybe the first 4 to 5 months of his injury, I had to floss his teeth, shave him, brush his teeth, help him with just the basic things, bathing and things like that, dressing, buttons. I still do. His hands don't work very well. So depending on what he's wearing for the day, depends if I do up the zippers or the snaps or anything, because he just doesn't have that dexterity anymore. So it's just what we do. It's just normal.
As we're looking at Ottawa right now, I know Mike was talking about that you're an amazing person to be, you're actually his inspirational too. From the advocacy standpoint, let's talk about what's happening in Ottawa and how you guys are lighting the fire underneath an awful lot of politicians, and you're saying this is the way it's going to change.
Well, there's definitely changes that need to be made. I know we ran into some barriers when Mike first came home regarding modifying or renovating homes to accommodate injured and ill coming home and things like that. We fought really hard to have policies changed and implemented, actually. Definitely some things need to change for sure.
I come from the old Veterans Charter and the new Veterans Charter. I'd like to get your opinion as a spouse in regards to the new Veterans Charter. What else do you think that is desperately needed to be put in place to address the younger veterans and even veterans from older veterans?
Well, I just think the lump sum thing, I think, is the primary thing. I mean, I think it should be a choice. I think the pension should be implemented again. Mike didn't have that choice. The VAC charter changed just before he sustained his injury, so we've had no choice but to sort of accept and kind of weave our way through the new VAC charter. So, yeah.
As I know, when you guys were brought down to Invictus Games, we were talking a year before, Michael Burns brought you down. I want you to share the special guest that came out of the crowd to talk to you.
Yeah, well, Prince Harry himself actually came down and introduced himself to Mike. They had a few moments of talking. Mike at the time had just had a second surgery that he still had dressings on actually while he was talking to Prince Harry. And Prince Harry basically challenged him to get better and be here. And Mike did and is and won us 2 golds. So, yeah.
As you're looking at Invictus Games right now and you've watched your husband compete, you watched other athletes compete, what does the Invictus Games spirit say to you as a spouse?
It's a family, like the energy, just the pride. I mean, all the nations that come together, the 17 different nations, just being here, it's one big blended family. It really, really is. And I know that kind of sort of something to be expected to say, but it truly is. I mean, people are helping people. People are listening to people. There's peer support going on. It's incredible to watch, actually. Yeah. I
want to thank you so much for your time. And you know what, after talking to Mike, keep up the great work you're doing in Ottawa. You are putting the fire under the politicians' rear end. That's great to see.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.